Jeff Kerr's appearance on the Sports Bash is brought to you by Calvi Electric Company in Atlantic City, their new residential division, here to help you with all your home and business electrical needs online, calvielectric.com. I'm Mike Gill. Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, Eagles, 97.3 ESPN.com. This season is almost here. Friday night, the Eagles play the Jets. We'll have that for you here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get Jeff's take on Eagles joint practices with the Jets today and all this week, and, of course, some of the other things that are emerging. What's going on, Jeff? How are you, my friend?
Pretty good, Mike. Crazy day around the NFL, so I didn't get too much of Eagles joint practices in today, but I got enough to know that I guess we can wear our preseason champion T-shirts here. They were 4-0 in joint practices.
So they won again today?
They did, yes.
All right, so let's talk about that real quick. The joint practices, are they becoming more important to the coaches than the actual preseason games are?
I definitely think so. We had Matt Lombardo on Birds 365 this morning, and we were talking about that a little bit. I asked him the question, how serious, these coaches take it, and he pretty much said that they are looking at these joint practices as a much better evaluation of their team than the actual preseason games. And the ones that aren't having the joint practices are actually playing their players in the preseason games. If, the Eagles had 2 joint practices, for example. So don't expect to see Jalen Hurts and all these guys on Friday. And Nick Sirianni says he doesn't know. He does know. He just doesn't want to tell us. And that's really the gist of all this. Same with the Jets. I don't think the Jets – they'll probably play Zach Wilson a little bit. But Lombardo pretty much pointed out that these third preseason games to a lot of these coaches, it's going to be like the fourth preseason game, which is probably what the NFL did not want when they reduced the schedule.
Well, if that's the case, we're not going to see starters, which means – are the starting jobs kind of defined now? He talked about left tackle today, Jeff, and said not defined, not figured out yet, not definite.
It's defined. It's Jordan Mailata. I don't know what he's trying to prove here. Technically he hasn't named Jalen Hurts a starting quarterback either, but it does look like Quez Watkins is a starting wide receiver, especially in 11 personnel. So looks like he gave that away a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just to boost Andre Dillard's confidence up. Maybe the Eagles are trying to say, hey, you know what? This guy's still in the competition here, even though you guys know he lost the job. We're still having him available for trade. I just think they're trying to up his trade value as much as they can at this point.
Well, that's a couple things with that. I agree. I think they say, look, if someone calls and says we're interested in Dillard, hey, you got to give us more. This guy might be our starter, right? Oh. So they have to keep that going. That being said, he did indicate today, hey, you guys have seen who's been running with the first team. Those are the first team guys. And then he kind of backed it off and said, well, Dillard hasn't been here. That's why he's still, in the mix. But that being said, it sounds as if the guys who have been running with the first team, they're the guys. So Watkins would be running with the first team, correct?
Correct. It's Quez Watkins, Jalen Reagor, and Devonta Smith. They're the 3. And Travis Fulgham, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, John Hightower, and Greg Ward are battling for jobs, although I don't think Greg Ward is battling for a job on this roster. I think he's got that. So I think it's between Fulgham, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and Hightower for that 5th wide receiver spot. And this is a poor wide receiver group overall. There's not a lot of depth, and they're young. So if I'm the Eagles, I'm looking at it as, okay, wait a minute here. Are we going to trade it for a veteran receiver? Are we going to see if anybody cuts somebody? Because I'm fine with Smith, Reagor, and Watkins starting. Completely fine with that. But one of them gets hurt, I think that's where this team's going to get into some trouble this year.
I agree with that. They also, though, have, we talked about this earlier during Football at 4 with Jeff Mosher, which is in the middle of the field, Watkins. Red zone, his speed kind of gets negated a little bit, so you go to Ward a little bit. And then you have those 2 tight ends. So they have some versatility with their lineups. Yeah,
that's where I think the 12 personnel comes in. That's why I thought, and you and I have talked about this for months, Mike, this team is better with Zach Ertz on it than they are without it. And it looks like Zach Ertz is going to be here for the start of the year and potentially the whole year. And you're right. That's where the red zone packaging comes in. That's where 12 personnel comes in. You can use a guy like him, a red zone target like Dallas Goedert as well. And then you have Greg Ward in the mix. And again, speed kills, don't get me wrong. But when you get inside the 20s, you need a little bit more in speed. You can throw the ball to Quez Watkins from the 10-yard line to the 5, but that's not a guarantee he gets in.
All right. So with that, okay, you've got Watkins is a little bit of a surprise in that third wide receiver role. Mailata over there. It seems that the rest of the offense is status quo. What about on the defensive side of the ball? Do we have any surprises, or did we find out anything this week about the defensive setup?
I mean, I guess the only surprise would be if Derek Barnett would start over Josh Sweat, which, again, to me, that's not a surprise per se, but I think Josh Sweat has been the best player in camp so far. So I think Josh Sweat would start opposite of Brandon Graham, but again, they're going to rotate enough. Linebacker, I think it's pretty simple. It's going to be Eric Wilson and Alex Singleton. And then that Sam linebacker. I know they have Jannard Avery listed on the first team, but I have a feeling Ryan Kerrigan's going to play that role a little bit too. So, I don't think that's a surprise. And in the secondary, maybe Marcus Epps over Kayvon Wallace, but quite frankly, Epps has outperformed Wallace this preseason.
All right, training camp observations. Friday night, the Eagles and the Jets. Jeff Kerr here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. And we won't see a lot of guys. So Friday night, what is there to kind of keep an eye on?
Don't get injured. I think there's going to be a lot of Kenny Gainwell, maybe. Again, if you want to make him a focal point of your offense, that's fine. But the Eagles seem to want to give him some reps. So I think you'll see some Kenny Gainwell. I think you're going to see a little bit of Boston Scott, maybe Elijah Holyfield in there. Again, assuming the starters don't play. I think you will see a little bit of Devonta Smith, though. I really do. I think you're going to see a little bit of him. Wes Watkins, obviously. But the Eagles are going to treat these guys like they're on bubble wrap, too. I don't think they're going to play much, but I think Nick Sirianni clearly made it vital in that second preseason game for those three to get some reps, Jalen Reagor included in that. So I think you'll see that. I want to see if Travis Fulgham can hold on and make this roster because he's had a good 2 practices against the Jets, but overall he's not had a good training camp. And he went from basically being a lock on this roster and a starter to potentially not making it. So he's a guy to watch out for. I'm a local guy. I want to see Kerry Angeline play. Again, I don't think he's going to make the 53, obviously. He just signed this week. But it will be cool to see him in some NFL action and potentially play a spot on the Eagles practice squad. Brett Toth, has the left tackle, has had a really good offseason, a really good training camp. If the Eagles do get rid of Andre Dillard, it's because of Brett Toth, and he deserves to be on this roster. So those are guys I'm looking at there. Defensively, I think I want to see a little bit more of Zach McPherson. Sean Bradley, again, he's going to be on the roster, but I want to see him get some more defensive snaps in there. And defensive tackle, Hassan Ridgeway has been kind of a disappointment in this preseason, but overall, he's going to make the team. I just want to see if he's going to be a number 3 defensive tackle or not, or will Ty McGill or Milton Williams, if they slide him inside, will they eventually take that spot?
All right, let's go around the league a little bit with Jeff Kerr. They've named a quarterback in Denver. It's going to be Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, not surprised. I don't know if you saw my tweet today, Mike. The Broncos have never won a game in September under Vic Fangio. They're 0-7. It's not like I think Teddy Bridgewater is the answer there. He's not. But is he a better option than Drew Lock? I got to go with Denver's brain trust on this. They traded for this guy to compete with Lock. But Lock was worse than Carson Wentz last year. He was the worst quarterback in football. I don't want to hear how hard he worked all offseason. You are judged by your performance on the field. And he's had a very good preseason. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think Vic Fangio and this coaching staff and this front office can afford to play Drew Lock and see if he can figure it out in year 3. I just don't think that they can afford to do that. Teddy Bridgewater is their best option for week 1. I don't think he will be the starting quarterback all season, but I think the Denver Broncos front office said to themselves, you know what? Let's go with the veteran here, and let's see if we can win a couple games. Because they can't start 0-3 and 0-4 again.
Well, that's one quarterback job that has been sealed. What about what's happening in New England?
Well, Cam Newton kind of let Mac Jones play his way back into that, didn't he, Mike? Getting COVID again or being in the protocol, having that miscommunication, whatever it was. I still don't understand the full gist of that story, but it's allowed Mac Jones to take some first-team reps, and he's looked pretty good. So I think the Patriots, if we looked at last Thursday night, you would say Cam Newton is the starting quarterback in the New England Patriots. Now, I don't think that's a given, and I still think the Patriots will start Mac Jones week 1. I don't think they can win the AFC East this year. I actually think Mac Jones gives them the best chance at going to the playoffs. I think they are a better team with Mac Jones at quarterback than they are Cam Newton. So I would start Mac Jones and see what you got. If you go 9-8, miss the playoffs, so be it. At least you know you have a quarterback for the future.
All right. What about in Chicago? Are they making the right decision there?
No. I don't know what they see in Andy Dalton. I guess they look at it as we gave this guy $10 million. We got to justify it. I think Justin Fields is ready to start week one. I think it'd be better for him to start week one, but maybe they want to get Andy Dalton killed by that offensive line and start 0-2, 0-3 before they actually turn the page to Justin Fields. And again, I think the Bears do have some leeway here because the NFC is not as deep as the AFC. They're going to have an opportunity to make the playoffs, but I'm telling you what, Mike, I'm not a gambling man, but there was a bet to be made on FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever. I would love to see a bet or odds of all NFC West teams making the playoffs because I would take that bet right now.
I guess the other one would be San Francisco, where it looks like it's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. That's the right move, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Honestly, I love how the 49ers have handled this. They told Jimmy G he's a starter from day one. I don't know if he'll be a starter at the end of the year. I think it depends on how the season goes, but the 49ers have some luxury here. They can afford to sit Trey Lance, and I think it's going to immensely benefit Trey Lance by sitting. And not that he's not any good. He's been great. It's just that you have a proven commodity in Jimmy Garoppolo. This is literally the best type of situation for them. It was kind of like the year Cincinnati sat Carson Palmer for a year, and then they started him his second year in the league, and Carson Palmer was pretty much good that entire season. And the 49ers are in much better shape than that 2003 Bengals team, but you get the point I'm making here, Mike. It might be an Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes situation. That might be a better comparison here, but I think this 49ers team is really going to take off when Trey Lance eventually becomes the quarterback, but this team can go to Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. They know that because it's been done.
Let's go to Dallas, where Dak Prescott was back on the field participating in the team drills. He threw 12 passes. Are they believing that he will be ready for Thursday Night Football?
Seems like he will be ready for September 9th. I don't think anything's going to stop Dak Prescott unless he has another setback. I think Dak Prescott will be ready to go. I'll tell you what, Mike, I'll never watch Hard Knocks yet. I still got to watch it. I said I was going to watch it this afternoon and didn't. I really want to know who the number 2 quarterback on that football team is going to be. I guess it's Cooper Rush.
Yeah, I saw the first episode. I did not see anything after that at this
You're
point.
not missing much.
No, not good this year, huh?
Ben DiNucci said last night, though, he was feeling dangerous, and then he threw 3 picks. So if you want to count out.
I saw the highlights for next week, and he was like doing bird signs or something on the. I said, how does this guy have a job? That to me is unbelievable.
The pride of Pine Richland High School in Pennsylvania. He was getting his all-time pass clear. I don't know how. I mean, he was a good high school quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know, Mike. Besides that, maybe the Mike McCarthy mojo thing. That was in the first episode, so I don't know.
It's been a while since I saw that first episode.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks. I will say this: it's not as good as it used to be, and I don't know if it's because of the Cowboys. Or if it's because Hard Knocks, we have more access now. I don't know. I kind of wanted to get into this too, Mike. I'm kind of bummed we won't be able to go in locker rooms this year. I'm not going to lie. I think you get the best quotes authentically from players in the locker rooms. And I think if a player knows a reporter well, they will open up to you. So it's going to be a shame we're not going to get that this year.
I didn't know that was official. Did they officially do that league-wide, or is that team by team?
Official, yeah. So the only people allowed in are team employees. So pretty much when Andre Dillard gives up 4 sacks because he has to start for Jordan Mailata this year, Dave Spadaro is going to say he did great.
That's good. Saquon Barkley, Joe Judge went on a rant saying he has to get hit in a game. Does that mean we'll see him in a preseason game?
We might see him Friday. I mean,
we lost the Jeff just kind of the video portion.
Saquon Barkley plays. I think he goes in and gets contact. I will say that, Mike. I think we'll see some contact for Saquon Barkley, but again, it might be too soon. I don't know. Personally, I just think the guy should just come in week 1. I think he's earned that right.
Yeah, I mean, nobody had preseason games last year. What's Judge stomping his feet about? I don't understand that one. And then, I guess last on the list here would be, what's going to happen in New Orleans?
Ooh, I think Jameis Winston won the job. I know Sean Payton kind of said the tentative date is Saturday. I still think he has that man crush on Taysom Hill, but I do think it's going to be Jameis Winston, and I think they're going to use Taysom Hill as that Swiss Army knife type player because, quite frankly, Mike, they're going to have to use him as that. They don't really have that much depth at receiver. It's great that Callaway has become something for them. So it looks like Jameis Winston. Again, I just think they have a more vertical passing game with Jameis Winston as the quarterback. If Jameis Winston can control the turnovers, they'll be fine. But that's the problem.
Yeah.
He hasn't been able to do that. The guy was among the league leaders in passing yards and passing touchdowns his last year as a starter, but he also threw 30 interceptions. So, again, I think they're a better team. I think the ceiling's higher with Winston, but Taysom Hill does not turn the football over. So Sean Payton's got a decision to make here.
And last but not least, Dick Vermeil looks like he's going to get in the Hall of Fame.
Love it. Absolutely love it. He needs 8% of the vote. I think he gets in. And I'll tell you what, Mike, this is how confident I am he's going to get in. I texted my dad yesterday, asked him, hey, Dad, it looks like Vermeil's going to get in. He said, get the tickets. We're going next year. Dick Vermeil is my dad's favorite coach. Idolizes him. I'll say this. I've only seen my dad cry probably twice in my life. One was when the Rams won the Super Bowl.
Oh.
So that's how much he loved Dick Vermeil.
Wow. All right. Well, Dick Vermeil, finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's Jeff Kerr at Jeff Kerr CBS. The Eagles season continues, the preseason, I should say, Friday night, and you can hear that game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Jeff will be back on Friday to preview that game and all the NFL news, notes, Eagles news you need to use, and more. And he joined us here on the Sports Bash. Thank you, Jeff.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me on again, Mike.
All right, Jeff, we'll be back on Friday as we'll talk to Jeff throughout the football season, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays here on the Sports Bash.